but it's okay.
What?
You're already live. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess so. We're live now. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chessmate, where I'm joined by the youngster Ahsan Feroz, and as always, our Chessmate coordinator, and who is always managing these streams and inviting us to have an as a alumni. So, welcome both of you and myself, Junaid Sohail. I am working. I think from the last few streams, duels I'm been there. So you can say I'm a usual guy here. Yeah. So today the content that we will be providing is mostly on the nationals under 20 that took place I think last week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So we have chosen like 5 games from them. Definitely, the first of all, we will start with the runner, with the champion, Ijlal versus Amish Kumar game, and let's see how it holds up. We have this some sort of Knight C3 London, which I think Jubavo London is what we call it. So not much is happening. Actually, the plan involves is trying to play B4, B5, B4. So Amish is trying to do that. In general, the main line starts with A3, I think, but I'm not myself a London expert. So we will quickly move on to this. So this bishop d6 move makes a bit of sense, as in general, I think if you are not achieving e5, you are going to achieve c5. You have to achieve c5 to get some central space, but he's trying to overprotect the c5 square. So let's see. Okay, with this double pawn structure, y do gets this semi-open e file with knight e5 later on in the game. So c5 would be a bit something I think I would have gone later on in the game. Knight e5 centralizing. So we pause here, and as always, the disclaimer is correct that we would be taking help with the engine, and because we found this game from Amish, so he had this already studied made on and analysis by the computer. So that's why you will see this mark in the first game, but not in the last 4 games. The only question that I think is what happens if you just take up here and play this sort of exchange French structure where, okay, white has this knight on e5, but he also has this knight on c3, which is usually misplaced, I believe, unless you should try to reroute it by this. So only Jalal would have told us that what would have done, what he could have played on e takes f5. What do you think, Essen? On e takes f5, you would have chosen?
Listen, you are mute.
Hello?
Yeah, I would have probably just recaptured the pawn and then try to rotate the knight.
And try to take this knight. So bishop takes f5 and then try to take up on d7, yeah?
No,
Hmm.
bishop takes f5 and try to bring the other knight as well. Or if he doesn't capture, then play f4.
Okay, so you want to do this to bolster. If it doesn't do that, to bolster the knight, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So, but I always think that whenever you are centralizing, no, the e4 square would be a bit weak if, but yeah, if black is able to use that, only then, yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe rook here to try to come up on the e5. But yeah, it was very, very interesting, I think, this decision. And, but first of all, if I go knight takes e5, bishop c8 is forced,
Enforced.
no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then queen
So
c8 and then
bishop takes
after.
because the bishop is hanging, no? Yeah, so bishop takes c8, and then, mm, but the point is that you can even get away with this because there is this as well, no? The d5 is hanging as well.
Yeah, I suppose.
Queen g5, knight c7, and then bishop e4. Maybe, but again, it's not like it's gonna be over. Or if I just, I have to actually, if I go for this variation, I will have to take up here because I cannot do knight e4 as d5 is will be hanging after bishop c8. Uh, so maybe this. Middle game is why they rejected this. That because bishop takes f5 is just a very natural move, and then knight takes e5, and then d takes e5. Maybe they were unable to assess it, well, or they disliked it a bit. On who knows? Or they want to keep a complex game. Okay, therefore, I think so that eventually avalanche on the king side is something that white is hoping for. So black has to play something in the center. This capture is, I think, sensible, trying to not allow these any f6 tricks. So, okay, queen b6, a bold one. Actually, it's not opening, so we won't call it a poison pawn. This actually attacks c3 as well. Knight d5. Okay.
Can you play rook
You
b1
cannot
over
get away
here?
with knight e7, knight e5 because of knight e7 check.
Wait, can you go back?
Okay.
Can you play rook b1 over here?
Here,
Now after queen takes c3, rook f3 and rook g3.
here now.
Yeah, after queen takes b2,
Okay. Rook b1.
rook f3.
Yeah, we are here. Queen b1. Okay. First of all, can I go knight e5? Because if you take, I will take on the queen.
Yeah.
And then this.
Okay.
So you would have to do this. And if I'm not getting away, like, if I do not have anything after rook f3, like there is no way to save this piece. So I'm gonna get two more pawns. No,
Yeah.
you're gonna get one back. Actually, not really because of this mate like this. I know you probably saw that one, but we need to show it to our audience as well. So maybe that's why Islal's call it like just as I say, don't grab the goods by its horn. Ijlal said that okay, let's fizzle out into something drawish.
Right now, you
And
both are discussing it like national masters. You certainly are, but yeah, people like me are unable to understand what's going on. So what's going on actually here? But first, tell me, this was a game between Ijlal and Amish, right? Ijlal won the tournament,
yes,
and Amish was sixth, I guess, overall.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So
And
what we are
what
discussing
was the
is
round?
that
What
uh,
was this round actually?
it was, I think, round four. Yeah, it was round four, I
Ah,
think.
it was
So
quite early in the tournament,
how
right?
is so? I think it's round four, and
Hmm.
we are discussing that after this check. Queen takes b2. Usually, this whenever you take this pawn, there is like million ways. Like there are millions of games when this knight can get trapped, but this
Uh-huh.
queen can get trapped. But I think because it's fairly from the opening phase, and we are like somewhat in the middle game, so the queen will have ways to get out. So it's not getting trapped. Beside the knight on c3 is also attacked, yeah. So he cannot do much. And then, according to Ahsan, there was this rook b1 trying to get upon the b file before doing anything else. But then it just doesn't work. It is like you will not get much, especially if
Uh-huh.
rook f3. He has to even go here. This bishop takes, and then queen d7. But then again, I think uh, maybe this c5 move or b5 move will be good to not allow the to get a lot of activity on b7 and then try to take on c2. Yeah, maybe that would have been easier one. So that's why Ijlal said that this knight is going to die. So why don't I sell it as dearly as possible? Just take up on d5 first and then take on d7 and regain back my piece, which is what happened in the game. Uh, I think so. Alambai, I think this explanation is a bit
Yes,
simple,
yes.
and were you able to?
This is something I can understand now. What's going on?
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Yeah.
so I think so. And then there is this centralizing the queen. So it's a very like tricky position for both side. Like I won't say that it is balance. It is balanced, but there are like weaknesses that I'm trying to point out here, and D5 can be a weakness as well. So the position is fairly open, and we have all the major pieces. So life is like who gets activity first, like whose pieces comes around. Like if white is able to put two rooks on the seventh rank, then maybe there will be checkmating ideas, and specifically if queen g4, f5, e6, or f6 ideas. But in the game, Amish did well, trying to centralize the queen before doing anything else. And so that rook b1 does not come with tempo. Like suppose if I play something like this, then once the rook comes here, then he would be losing this pawn. So that's why he first goes around queen d4. Okay, so this exchange itself, I think would have favored white if I'm not mistaken. Like if he takes, and then he can go f5 plan once he puts the pawn on d4. But black will have activity with rook c8 and c4, rook c4. So maybe that exchange is good as well, but Am's decision is also well because if you take and take, then my rook gets active on the second rank, and this passer, this pawn that is like in next to this pawn, and it's not a pass pawn, right? But if something like this happen, then this is a pass pawn. So with proper activity, it should hold. But yeah, it can be something. Okay, and that's a good decision trying to come on the c5. Okay, is d4 a thing? That is my question. Like, if I play d4, I'm going to put a rook on c3. But the problem is that rook c3, and then rook c8. But his passers are also quite strong, no? What do you think, Hassan?
You mute us, man.
Hello?
Yeah, yeah. Hmm. I know. Rook c3 is very interesting. I mean, d4. You can't
Yeah,
let white get d4 afterwards. I
yeah,
mean,
if I
you'll
take
have to go after
d4,
his pawns.
d4, but the question is that how strong is rook d3? Because suppose if I does nothing like rook c3 takes, and my only question is that this pawn is not going to win yet. But yeah, I have the pass. I have the time to actually make the majority over here. So maybe that is a good decision as well. Like suppose maybe the simple variation of d4, rook c8. First of all, I have to stop this pawn, so king f8, and then maybe b6 some in time. Okay, so I'm gonna start pushing my pawn. c2. First start with c2. No, but d7. Yeah, but uh, this no, but he will promote as well. So first, before going c2, I will put the king here. Yeah, and then maybe b5, b4, a5, and try to make a pass as well. I will also try to do something like this. So that is why if f5, I will go king e6 first, so that I don't allow something like this when it is like
Hmm, yeah.
over. So first I will go up here and then we will see things. But yeah, I think d4 is an interesting option, not allowing white to play d4. Specifically, but is good that he cannot go maybe rook c4 as well because I will take and take, and this time it is no, it's not that good actually because now I will not have the passes over here, no. But yeah, his rook will be frozen. I'm not going to push the pawn too far because his king will come as well. But yeah, it's an option. And if I take, and then I just go this. Yeah, I think this would have gained me some advantage maybe because rook c1 to defend it and then d3. I'm going to trade this. I'm sorry, where I
Wait, can
would
you
be
play
willing to give.
instead
Huh?
of playing d3? Can you play b5 first? b5 and
Yeah,
then c5 and
actually,
then d3.
yeah, actually, this is what I was going to come as well. That C5 can be played, but actually, even in B5 looks very strong because then C5 and then you would make the passes over here.
Hmm.
But the white's plan should be to bring the king very as quickly as possible to the king side before to the center before anything else happen because these pass pawns are just very fast. And one day you would have to move the rook away from the C5. Hmm. So I think so that D4 was interesting. I mean, you should have tried that one. Then we might have the opposite result or disclosure. We cannot result, give the results yet. Okay, so rook c6. White is pretty much forced that because rook c8 would have come. So
And I think rook c6 might be a mistake
okay, yeah, I think so. No, maybe positional wise, d4 would have been a better one.
because then you
Rook
can
rook
after
c6 is,
captures you can play rook c1, rook c and then d4. Then you can try to play rook c5, rook a5.
no, but I will go rook b4 now. I would get
Hmm.
activity because you cannot take as I would have made.
No, but then
No,
h3.
okay, yeah, h3 fine. So think about it.
Then you're gonna lose c6 and d5.
Uh, okay,
Rook c5.
rook c5 fine. And okay, I'm not gonna go d4 because you're gonna continue with the rook c4.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what if I go rook a4 to come up here and then trade this pawn for d3? Then it's a draw, no? And if you play g3, then I will play d4, no?
Yeah, should be.
Hmm. That should be good, I think. Maybe equality lands over there as well.
But
Or
after
maybe,
when that line after
uh,
g3, you can bring your king up very quickly.
yeah, obviously. Like rook a4 g3 and then here.
Or rook c3.
Hmm. And hmm, maybe g5, trying to undermine this pawn structure.
f5 then. Because the thing is, your rook is pretty
That's
much
fine.
stuck.
Yeah, the rook has it like the rook is like it's gonna lose. It, if something attacks, it's gonna die. But yeah, it's just the rumors maybe. Hmm. If I go like this, h5, suppose your plan to go king g2 or king g1, both will land to the same thing, no? But the point is that if king g2, then I would have maybe play d4 to try to not allow the king f3 maneuver. So, yeah. So what do you play here? Let's see.
Maybe rook
What's
a3.
happening? Thinking. Rook a3. Okay. So rook a3 and then maybe h4. But h4 would give you a pass protector over there. So how about I bring my king all the way to here to stone to protect this
I
a6
don't
pawn or
think you
even
should
march
be
it
able
down?
to do that.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can
I
no.
think
Then you
it's
can
very
play
big.
king g2, king f2, and king e3.
Yeah. But yeah, I understand that your plan is that by first you have improved your rook and then you're gonna put the king on e3 so the b4 doesn't come. Like like when the rook move, this a pawn will fall. Yeah. So if I go
Hmm.
suppose king f8, king g1, and then it's a difficult position. I admit maybe a5 a4. Hmm?
Hmm. Seems interesting.
What really happened in the game?
Yeah, I think we should go back to the game.
Yeah, but we yeah exactly. So okay, rook b1, rook c1, rook c8, and then c5. Hmm. both are trying to centralize the things and then later on trying to do. Hmm. Okay. King c6, d4.
Uh,
Okay, now you have the connected, like the protected passer over here. So, but I think that sooner than later you have to actually do something with these uh, pawns because one day e6 is going to come. So that is fine. Maybe now he should have thought of it that maybe I can make a fortress or something like this or try to get this rook active. G6 is interesting, but then there would be G4, but I would take and then open up the G file for my rook because there is only one open file right now that my opponent is controlling. So maybe that would have been interesting as well. Like something that's what I'm talking about, that you get the open file as well because your opponent also has one. So there is no entry yet. Yeah. So G4 and then King D7. I think so that the only question is that what happens after rook B7? Takes, and then E6, takes, and then King C7, King E7. I mean time. So maybe he should have gone like this.
I think the endgame might have
By
been
trading a
losing
king.
going to him because you can go for h4, a g5, and then f6, undermining everything.
Okay. Your idea is to place for something like this. Let me try to put it up on the board. And then G5 and F6. Yeah.
Yeah,
But my question is that what will happen if I go King C7, G5, and uh, like if I start
king
with
d7.
F6 myself, F6, it takes, and then G5, and then I'm not gonna make the H pass. No, but F6 pawn will be fast as well. Like
No,
suppose if I
f6,
play
f6 you can play g5
this,
directly. No,
and
you can
then
just play g5 instead, or this.
okay, if I take,
Screen's frozen.
your point is to play F6. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. If I go
so I think this is why you
like
avoided rook b7.
this, and then defend,
Takes g6.
yeah, they. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I went back a lot. So rook b7, and then if I had taken, and then h4. So your idea is to play g5, yeah?
Yeah,
So what happens if I play g5 myself?
then e6 and then f6.
Okay, a g5, and
Probably
you're
you
gonna
can, probably you
go,
can take first. Probably you can take first because then you also have to worry about
yeah,
h6.
that, yeah, that would have been, I think, the trick.
So
So
I think
king
this is why you
c7,
avoided playing rook b7.
I think Junaid's internet is off. Hmm?
Yeah,
Is it stuck for you, Ahsan?
yeah, it is.
Okay, let's see when he comes back. So I assume in this game, actually, Ijlal won. I don't think
okay,
Ijlal lost any game there, right?
Yeah,
Hmm. Junaid, are you
yeah,
back?
I think so. We would have been, h4 would have been a stronger one, like g5, f6. Yeah, I don't know. Somehow the internet at very good point, it just collapses. Scare. So that's what I think
okay, he's
is my
gone
board
again.
clearly visible. Yes, it is. King d7 and then h4, king d7. And I think at this point it's just gonna be like over soon. Specifically, maybe they are in time trouble as well because it's moved 36. So we will quickly wrap up this game and just go around this. Once you get the connected passer, it's only a matter of time. Even if you defend it like this, it's just gonna be over shortly.
Hmm.
Yeah, this falls, and then I think it's just by now he's gonna get the challenge.
It was a good
Yeah, so
fight by Amish, I would
moving
say.
towards the next game, I think. Yeah, it was, I think, uh, just one too bad decision, and Ijlal put a good example over there. But
Yeah.
Amish did very well, and I think
Well,
that
relatively a
maybe
drawish
this
game overall
D4
throughout,
move, maybe he
but
would have
eventually
tried to
Israel came on
hold
top.
it easily or something like that. But let's see. Yes,
I think Junaid is cutting
yes.
off.
Yeah. So Alam bhai, Assalamu alaikum from Zaman. He's sitting beside me, so he's like, Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, Zaman.
Uh,
Walaikum assalam.
okay, this is a game from I think round seven. Aliyar Hassan versus Ahsan. Aliyar is also like
Yep.
rising star these days. He's also performing well, so it's it's good to see your game against him.
Who is
Okay,
white
Bishop
and who is
E5.
black here?
I'm
So
playing black
Aliyar is
over here.
playing white.
Allianz playing white.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So let's see. This E5. Okay. Queen a5. So the trick is that I will either win this pawn or this pawn for our audience that this knight on c3 is win. Yeah. So and also the bishop will also open up. It's like waking it up. So queen d2 stops this knight e4 trick. So rook d1, bishop e6 in these structures. I think that's where this goes. And c4 is also hanging just for the starting that now you have to defend this pawn and also ideally now
It
this diagonal
destabilizes the knight.
more yeah, yeah, and also this diagonal is a bit weak now. But with the rook note over here, uh, it's not that weak, but yeah, it do becomes a topic and then later on when b5 will be played, the c3 square is further weakened up. So that's a good move. a3, a6 and then knight c8. Black plan is simple. He's gonna put the rook over here and then try to play b5. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. So we would ask you, did you consider the queen c7 and why you rejected that and choose queen a5? Huh? Yes, sir.
I
That is
thought the
for queen.
endgame would be better for me.
Hmm. I would not comment on that, but I do think that black has so white is the one pressing this one with this bishop here and special advantage. But yeah,
Yeah, but I
obviously,
think I should have played queen c7. I just don't think I considered it at all.
yeah, because only then these moves make sense. No, that
Hmm.
you are trying to pile up on c3, but okay. Queen a5, and then this capture is good. Actually, I would say that this capture is very, very good one if you would talk about the positional sense because it opens up this e file and it also maintains this central space. And one day this pawn on e7 is a bit of a problem. I agree that the rook on d1 is just not feeling that good, but one day it can be activated on e5 or some other ways. But this is a good capture to later on try to play on this e7 pawn. F okay, knight d7, f3, rook b8. As mentioned before, that black plan is to play b5. I don't know why he went on to
Knight
keep on
e4 is a
exchanging
mistake.
pieces. Um, especially when you have the special advantage. I don't think you yeah, that's what I'm coming to, that you have the special advantage, and how would you assess that is that like you have far advanced pawn in the center, so you should not actually try to trade pieces, try to keep pieces on the board and then outplay your opponent. So knight e4 और ये
Its
इनको ना
positioning
देखो क्या
also a
हो
bad
जाता है.
move because you can just capture and then e5 becomes very weak because there's no f1 to take off the pieces.
Yeah, at this point, I think this bishop is just like a very sad guy who has his brothers on e4 and c4. Like it's not doing much. He should have tried to not do that. Like he cannot remove this pawn, so maybe he has to think of it how he's going to make this bishop a good piece. Specifically, maybe his concern was that after b5 he's going to lose this d5 pawn. Maybe that's why he
Yeah,
did that, so
could
that
be.
If b5 comes, the rook can be well placed. But later on, as he played this bishop d4 move, so I don't know, maybe try to read out the knight by knight c3, but knight c3 will not come. So it's a close position and a plan involving maybe hmm, what is happening after a4? b5 and then I take, then my structure is ruined. Okay. So if you try to make up any other plan, but if I just poke you like this, bishop a7 and then
Yeah,
bishop
in the
f2.
game I thought you could play this. Instead of playing bishop f2, I thought you could play bishop d4 directly.
No, my point is that I'm never gonna take on f6. Like suppose if I go bishop d4, there might be some tricks of knight d4, knight d5 later on, and it's not like I'm ever gonna take on f6. So I'm just gonna hide on f2 so that even if b5 comes, I am able to take up and win and trade on d5. Suppose something like this. Obviously, we're not going to do that because a2 is hanging. But just for explaining now, the bishop is not hanging on e3. So maybe a poke like this might have been a better try, or might might have given you some more questions to solve. Yeah. So knight d4, knight e4, fe4, and then b5 came. And then I was surprised by this move because anyone who
Yeah,
is like trying to understand the positional chess, he would understand that this bishop is just horrendously bad. There is no way that this bishop is gonna become active anytime soon. So he should have keep this bishop at least, so that even if the knight lands on e5 or c5, he can interpose by it and try to trade off and play for a draw or something. Obviously, if this bishop gets active, then he has chances to actually play for advantage. But right now, it's not. Bishop g4 is a thing,
yeah,
but
and
bishop g4
he
is a
should have
thing.
played bishop g4 over here.
Yeah, bishop g4 and then f5 is just not a good one. F5, my point is that f5, knight e5, and then the intermezzo. But bishop h3 retains a pawn, yeah? Ah, you're gonna take on c4. But once I take up here, it is like the rook on c8 is also hanging. So this bishop d4 move was just not that good. It's a very bad positional move. And I remember I was watching your game live, and when I saw this position, I was like, Black has completely outplayed opponent because there is no way this knight will ever move, and this knight is just a monster. So it was only a matter of time that you win this game. But yeah, bishop g4 would have been a very good one. Okay, and then some of the more moves trying to get the king on the center and then the interpose on the c file. Okay, rook c5, it's good. So that trading on your own term, that this way you would get a more better pawn structure and spice. And this rook is also trapped, definitely. So okay, bishop c4, and we move on to some more moves. Both sides are developing their king, bring it closer to the king on to the center. So that's over ambitious maybe. So g4, g5, and then h5. That's good. Actually, whenever you are in a position, you have to undermine it. And h5 is good. King f2, king g3, and it's only a matter of time that black will actually eventually wrap up this pawn on h3, and then this is a passer which I think happened in the game as well. This trade is good as well. Yeah, because you gonna make a passer over here. But you could have just kept the position like that and just play this. No, because this bishop is never gonna see daylight. But your point would have been that the bishop f1
And
would
he could
come.
then play
No,
rook
sir.
f2 and then try to move his bishop. But either way, I thought this endgame was winning after knight c4 because then I can show you the variation in the game.
Mhm. Yeah, I
So
do
rook
agree
takes
that
6
it is winning. Yeah,
because
no,
you're
I
then
mean
just gonna
d6 is
play
just he's out of
rook
moves.
a8 and rook a3.
Yeah, he's just out of moves exactly, cutting off the king. So that is fine as well. But to my taste, it would have been this. And I think he resigned after rook g1. Okay, good game, I guess. So now let's look at the tournament turning game for the versus Ahsan, which I think is like nightmare for you for these days because
Yeah.
it costed you the championship. after a
Hmm.
very good run of 8 out of 8. Fardad
Which
put
round?
it
Which round
in.
it was?
This is round
It
9.
was round 9, and if
Oh, that
Hassan had
round.
drawn it, he would have easily been the champion. As the sole, he
Uh,
was the sole leader ahead of all the companions, 1 point ahead, and then it was Fardad versus Hassan. Fardad was playing
uh,
white piece, and then we have this
that's
B3, just
bad luck
as we
then.
would say,
But
the
you were
secret
playing
weapon.
white, Hassan?
I was playing black.
Okay, you were playing
Hassan
black.
was
Okay.
playing black, so
Mhm.
E5, knight C6, and then and you always choose these G6 systems, and then knight E7, I
Yeah.
think. Okay, we will quickly move up. And then this decision was something that might have given you like, is he coming for a draw, not keeping a lot of tension in the center, or what you thought here? Huh?
What?
I'm saying that once you saw this d takes e5, did you think that is he coming for a draw or by trading of the pieces, not
No.
keeping some tension in the center, or you thought that he's going to slowly come up with me, come at me? Okay, we
No,
will
I
look
thought he
at
was
it
gonna try
like
to play
this.
for a win like this.
Okay, Queen c1 makes sense. Trying to put the rook
No,
on
over
d5,
here I
yeah.
think over here I think C6 was a really big mistake. Then
It
later
makes
F5.
a I think so that it makes a backward pawn on this d6 on this d file, and it can be a questionable thing. Maybe you could have gone for something more compact like d5 c6, but then again
Yeah,
the
I
question
suppose.
is that where would you put this light square bishop? Or maybe you can keep the pawn structure like this and then go bishop here, because ideally I don't think white would be in time to set up a like blockade on e4 f3 something. And even if it does, then you can always reroute the bishop back and then play f5. Cat c6, I think, is not that good. C4, first, as always, they say, if first you stop a weakness, you don't allow it to come forward, and then you try to do something else. Yeah, most probably on C5, on D, drag D5, first takes karke, obviously, you will take, and then D5. Yeah, uh, you would look D1, and then the pressure would pile up. So, okay, trade. You didn't want him to go for e4 square, but this also creates a lot of squares weaknesses over here. And then this bishop is just a bad one, no? Queen d2, rook d1, and then this is a good maneuver. Try to come up over here to exploit these, weakened squares on the light square by putting pieces on the dark squares. And later on, he can choose this e4 pawn push as well. So maybe you could have taken first, no? So that your king would not come on g7,
I
because
actually wanted my
if
king to come on G7 because then it also gives my knight the G8 square to read out. Knight G8, knight F6.
okay, well, in that sense it makes sense, but this way the whenever knight f4 knight e6 will come, it will be a check.
No, but then after
Yeah.
bishop F7, then he has nothing.
Hmm. Okay, makes sense. Maybe I did not dig deeper, I guess. So okay, e4, and it's only a matter of time. If you get time to reroute your pieces, then black should be fine, but if only you get time. Yeah. Okay, c5. Hmm. What happens if I go queen d4, king g8 is what you're gonna play? Yeah,
Yep. Hmm.
and then c5, and then knight f5. Okay, and my knight is hanging as well. If I move the queen away alone, no. Hmm. It's hard to come up with something here. What did you consider in this game actually?
Over here, I thought I was close to equalizing. I mean, I knew I was much worse earlier, but I thought like I was making some good counterplay. And after he played C5, I thought every endgame would just be better for me. Or
Yeah,
like would
so
give me good
maybe
drawing
this bishop
chances.
d4,
Yeah, but over
or
here,
maybe
rook
this
d6,
bishop
rook
g.
f6 looked pretty strong.
So you're gonna read out like this. And now I'm not gonna play c5. I'm gonna bank on this check whenever you would take up here, and then maybe rook e8 or rook e1. Suppose I go rook e1, d takes c4, queen c3.
King g8.
And then I would have what's happening after knight e6. Bishop takes, and then I would have taken up here. No, knight e6, and what you would have played? Hmm? Because I'm
Knight
threatening mate
e6.
over here.
Yeah.
Knight e6, and then
No,
I
this
think
looks
that would
winning.
have won him an exchange
Yeah.
because you cannot take up here. I'm gonna do this, and even if I do not have the mate, the queen is hanging, so he has to do this, and then obviously I'm not a believer that this gonna survive with king knight. Yeah, so maybe yeah, so queen g8 is there, so that would have forced you to play this knight f5. Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he missed this bishop the knight e6 shot that would have won you very healthy. That would have won him a very healthy exchange. Yeah, he eventually went on to win, but yeah, this would have been a neater one. I think knight f5 would have been forced here. No, then I think if
Oh,
nothing is happening, I would just take and play this position. Yeah, if nothing is happening at the very least, when this bishop, I think you would agree as well that this bishop is
yeah, yeah.
just a bad one. So maybe bishop d4 is something that we missed. Uh, let's move on. You can ask things or you can tell us that if we are going too fast. Huh?
No, no, that is fine. That is fine.
What do you think?
Go ahead. This is
Okay.
interesting stuff.
And a lot of
And
trades happen, and then
Yeah, over here
at
I
this
thought I
point you were
was
like
better,
that
or like
maybe
I
the
had a
draw
draw.
will occur. Yeah, I think so that with so much activity, it's not going to be a problem. I remember looking at it
Yeah.
live, and then I was like, the moment he gets something on f2, it's going to be easy. And specifically, if the rook comes on f5, then that means there would be like I have free hand to actually operate with my major pieces. Yeah, so
Hmm.
around here a bit of shuffling, and then at this point you just messed up. I was amazed why you didn't go king h6. No.
No, but the thing is, I had calculated this entire sequence and
Why
then I
king
was playing
h6
this time
doesn't
very
work?
quickly.
This is my question.
No, it does work.
Yeah, you just
No, the problem is I
yeah,
just
like it's
calculated
just a
this
draw,
entire
no?
line with King G8. Yeah, it is. And the thing is, I just
Yeah, it's
calculated this
just a
entire
draw. So
line with King G8, and then I thought Queen E6, Rook F7, so I was ready to play everything. Then I just saw Queen E8, and then
yeah,
that was just game. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure I would have won the
yeah,
draw.
but it was yeah. And when you saw this rook g8, king g8, and queen e8, it was too little, too late. Yeah. So
Yeah,
okay, moving towards the game of Hani. I think Hani. I don't know what's his full name. Do you know?
Honey
Hassan.
Imran.
Yeah, Hani Imran. He also has some good games, I think. And this one is against Amar, who is like under 14.
where is
Yeah.
this Hani
So we
Imran
have the
from? I
Sicilian
haven't
on the
heard about
board,
him before.
and okay, I think so my internet is working. So bishop g5, f4, and queen f3. So queen c7 and castles. So both sides have played their like natural, like the most I've played is f4
You know,
and then
your internet is actually
f3
lagging badly now.
at
Hold on a
this
second. Let it.
or specifically here as well because if you, now if I think so that Here b5 would have worked maybe because e4 is gonna like be under trouble for some times. That's how you got to counterplay here. But obviously, Amar is playing this
Okay, I think you're
playing out
cutting
against
off.
this queen c7. And I don't know what is the point behind this. You can tell me. I know that you want to come to this a c4 square, but don't you think b5 is a better one? After that, try to come up here. Yeah, okay. g5, bishop takes d4. It makes sense because even if you come back, then I don't know, I'm not a Sicilian player, but it's always good to take this knight away before it comes on b5. Okay, queen c5 is good, and then we have some of more and more developing moves. Yeah, the only problem is that maybe he could have gone bishop d3, but the problem is that this eight stakes would have been there. So yeah, king e7, that's typical. Okay, rook c8, queen g3, and knight a4. Fine. No, so what has happened is that for the last couple of moves is that black has successfully evaded like the early tricks of white by trading some of its pieces, and he has arranged a lot of things on the c file and try to come on the c2 square. So that's good. And here I think it was classical game, but I think Hani missed this that the queen is under attack, so he could have taken this pawn. Huh? Because even if you do this, then
So queen just
rook
fine.
takes d6. But I would have rook e4. No, but the problem is that what is happening after either rook d1 or the rook coming on d7 and or even rook b6. Like anyone would be scared to play this one. Like I think
Yeah,
so. There is no
it's
way you're
very
gonna
hard to
defend
play.
that. Yeah, there is no way you're gonna defend b7 and then queen b8 is coming. Yeah, maybe I can set up this rook b7, king f8, and king g7. But there would be this
I think there will still be a lot of tricks. Maybe some queen f3
okay,
or yeah, strikely.
queen c3, but I would go e5 and then queen c7 or f or queen f or this one is a spinning, I think so. And if I go like this,
You can just play queen
but
c8 and then take.
yeah, but it's just very it's maybe that's why he rejected it. Maybe taking this second pawn is a bit dangerous. Uh, then it's difficult to come up with something. Maybe this, or I just keep the rook here and make my own threat by this rook c1. No, so I just go into my own making threat. That I say, fine. I realize this rook. I cannot go Yasir mode, pawn grabbing. Just I will make my own threat here. When it's
Hmm.
you cannot double up because I would have this. So how do you defend rook c1 and rook c2?
Probably queen f4.
So
Then you can try to go for some rook d7 and then queen takes with check and you force the
no,
king on the
but
back rank.
queen f4. No, but queen f4 is just like allowing these things. No,
Yeah, I suppose.
you're gonna try. You're gonna try to play a perpetual,
No,
maybe by king d7,
no,
but I have queen
no, there is
e7.
no perpetual. Yeah,
Yeah, I have queen e7. So just for our audience, ideally black would have wanted white would have wanted for something like this. Yeah, but I don't know how I'm gonna supposed to show this idea like something like this so that he might take it. Even that is winning. Yeah, but I don't have to go for these things. After queen takes, I would just. But there would be rook d1 check, so I cannot go here. Actually, it's far difficult than it looks like. So, king d6, rook d1, yeah. And
Hmm.
if I go king e5, and then queen g7 is there.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
think
So I
white
would,
should have a mate or like some sort of an over there.
yeah. So I would have to go king c6 when you cannot take, when, yes, you can take, but I will get something like this. And if you stay on c5 to defend this, I would move the rook away, or king away, sorry. So how would you accomplish the attack? I'm gonna go maybe, yeah,
There, king
over here
d5.
I would just go like this. Yeah, king b5 because I'm not gonna king c7 because now b3 is guarded. So king b5 and then the next check you give, I will just put on the rook on c5. So it's not, so that trick is not working as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Hani, you missed that one. Or if he was in stream, he would have told us what could have happened. Yeah. Okay, moving back towards the game. Is it me or yeah, fine. So Queen C5, and trust me, all the games that I have chosen, this one is like I think the most longest one, and there would be like many things in the later on game, like a lot of complex things. Okay, only he can tell that. Omar can tell. Did he just miss that or he sacked it? Okay, takes, and then this is good trying to come up on this file because this file is just blocked. So
Okay, wait, can you go a bit
takes,
back?
and then
I think he should not have
yeah,
traded on f6. After like he lost the e pawn, I think he should have played g6 and then tried to go for some 8-6 later on. Because
yeah.
either
But
way,
you would
even when
allow
you
this
trade,
f5 f4, no?
no, but either way, even if you capture, black still has f5.
Yeah, you have a point over there. I agree, but it's not gonna do much. Maybe like suppose if I play g6, I just need one, two, three moves. I'm gonna take h5. This way, his
But
point
whenever
might
you
have been
move to
that I would.
f4, you have bishop g4.
Hmm. Okay.
I think it would be a better try, because then black also gets a lot of activity once you trade. Way more activity.
Yeah. So your idea is that suppose on f4 you're gonna go bishop g4 and rook d6, yeah, to try to come up on e6. Hmm,
Yes.
maybe. Maybe I would have to try that as well. Okay. And now it will be like who queens first or how many queens you can bring onto the board. This is something that we will see soon enough. I'm just moving fast from here because we will shortly see a lot of interesting stuff here. Takes, and then here. And we stop here. So the other question is that what is the internet doing?
Finally, Junaid's internet is totally off.
Hmm.
Ahsan, are you still there?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, his internet is actually struggling now. So who was the winner of this game, by the way? Honey?
I think it was a draw. But
Oh,
should be honey, because I think black is much better over here.
mhm.
Okay, I think he left.
Yeah,
Got
he will have
disconnected.
to rejoin. Hmm. Meanwhile, we can do something like we can just talk about. Hold on a second. So this was the final ranking after 9 rounds. So Ijlal Okay, you, Ijlal, and Fardad all had 8 points.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a tough competition. That even happened after 9 rounds of the chess. 9 rounds are good enough rounds, usually.
Yeah. Thing is, and I never got to play Ijlal, and Ijlal also never got to play for Dad.
Uh, so something strange happened here. But overall, how many players were there, bud?
There were more
Uh,
than 150. I think for like this amount
hmm,
of players, there should have been more rounds, at least 11.
yeah, now I see the number of players, and then I can say, yes, we did more rounds here.
Yeah.
And what was the tournament format here?
Yeah, I think the tournament format could be improved a lot. There were three classical games spread out. There were nine classical games spread over 3 days. So I meant like 3 games per day, which was very long.
mhm. I see, I see. Ah, so it was a great tournament, Hassan. I have seen you play like 2 years ago in the nationals, like open nationals, and you were still a kid back that time, and you still played brilliantly. Just that uh, when it was, by the way, what year was that? 2 years ago, 2004
Yep,
or 2024 or 23?
2024. 24.
2024.
Yeah,
Yeah,
summers of
and
24.
yeah, and Maurice was there as well, and he played very
Yeah,
impressive chess at that time too. Right. So I have seen you come. I mean, you have done an amazing job here in this tournament, Hassan. I would say this was quality chess being played among all these youngsters. Amish has done very well. You have done very well. It's just a matter of luck that you were not the number one player there. And obviously, I haven't seen all the games, but what I have seen so far, you have done amazingly well. Fardad was a very strong player. I know him personally. Jalal, I haven't been able to meet yet because he's from Lahore, so very few times I've met him. Uh, Amish, yeah, I know him. He's very strong as well.
I
But
think
with
this
with all
tournament
this
was
lineup,
very strong overall
yeah, it was a very strong lineup. Every one single one player of these
because there are also
were
these
amazing.
new players who were really good.
Yeah, there are many names. I haven't heard of these guys before. So I must say that it was a tough competition, and being able to be in top three uh, is an amazing achievement. So congratulations for the second position that you've got, Hassan.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, I think Junaid will not be coming back, or maybe he has left already because he had a patchy internet. So let's just say that. This concludes our video for today. We have analyzed few games. We have seen how things went there. It was interesting analysis by Junaid as well as by you. And I would like to thank you once again for being here with us today and entertain us with everything related to chess. So thank you, Hassan.
Sure.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And we'll be in touch again, inshallah. Future. Right. Thank you, guys. See you again. Bye.
Okay, office.